So let's do another one for the slow cooker. Let's make a Guinness stew. I make mine using beef. Of course, you can go ahead and do lamb if that's what you prefer. But I just think, yeah, beef's the better option for Guinness. And it's cheap. So I'm going to use a beef round roast. As you can see, this is 1 kg of meat for 11 quid. You can't go wrong. It's a tougher cut. It's not as nice, as a steak. You kind of have to go low and slow for this cut to get the best out of it. Now, you can buy little packets of stewing beef, which is kind of like the same thing, but diced. For the amount you get in those packets and the price on each of those packets, you're better to just get the round roast like you see here and just chop it up into chunks. Of course, you're going to need a can of Guinness. You're going to need some carrots. You're going to need a large onion. You're going to need 2 cloves of garlic, about 900 ml to a litre of beef stock, some tomato paste or tomato puree. I use about 1.5 tablespoons. And you see in the corner, I have just that beef and vegetable soup, just the packet soup, that powdery one that you mix with water. I always throw one of them in. I think it's something I got from my family. It's totally optional. I always add it. So slow cooker plugged in, set it to low, and you can even put your 900 ml of beef stock in there. And I'm going to get to cleaving my meat. So this is my favourite knife to use. I very rarely use it, only when I'm like chopping up a chicken or doing something like this. So be very, very careful. I have cut myself with this knife. It's not pleasant. So just slice it down into steaks and then cube it up. Now, as you can see here, I've left these as very big chunks. You can, of course, do them into tiny cubes. You can do smaller, you can do bigger. I just think a Guinness stew, it's big, hearty meat and potatoes. I like a big chunk when it comes to my Guinness stew. You're going to want to salt and pepper these very generously. Do not be shy, don't hold back. Give it a salt, give them a stir, give it another salt. Make sure everything is really well coated. This isn't going to go straight into the slow cooker. We're going to actually brown these off on a pan first, just to seal them, to try and keep as much moisture in as we can. Now, you can put even a 1/2 cup to a cup of just flour over these to kind of coat them. I tend to do 50% and 50% flour and corn flour. Again, I don't really think it matters. I love using corn flour. I always, in my head, think it just does a better job of fluffing things up and crisping things up. If you don't have corn flour, just use regular flour. It's grand. But all in all, I think I used about 1/2 cup of my mixture. Toss it, get it all really well coated. And you can pat off any excess. I'm always a little bit too generous with the flour, as you can see. And no matter what I'm making, if I'm doing meat coating or baking, it goes everywhere. I always have it in my hair. So get your pan really, really nice and hot. That's just a huge pan with extra virgin olive oil. We really want to get this to the point where the oil is starting to smoke. We're not going to cook the beef, just to be clear. We're just browning it off. So we want to get every kind of part of the little chunks sealed. My mum always says sealed. I don't know if that's the correct term. You might have to do these in batches. Like this pan, you can't really see in the video, this pan is very big. But even for the 1 kilo of meat cubed up, I had to do these in a couple of batches. Just a couple of minutes, that's all you need. Now, into your slow cooker, you have your 900 ml of beef stock. Throw in your chopped onion, your chopped carrot. I minced up my 2 cloves of garlic, and I'm going to put in my tomato puree. And once my beef is browned off, I'm going to throw that in on top of my veggies and stock. I'm going to add in my can of Guinness. I have to say, I did this first thing on Friday morning before work. Something is so wrong about the smell of a can of Guinness, like that time in the morning when you're not at a wedding. And also I spilt it everywhere. It fizzed up, so it was all over me. So I kind of felt really like I was doing something wrong because I smelled like alcohol all day. But anyway, there's worse things to smell like. Now, I'm also going to put in that packet of dried soup. Again, this is optional. I'm pretty sure this is just a thing my family does and makes no difference, but in my mind it does. You could do OXO cubes either. It's up to yourself. I always think it helps to thicken it. And you're going to throw in just a couple of bay leaves. Very rare you find a recipe for Guinness stew that leaves these out. Give everything a really good stir. And we're going to leave this in for total about 6 hours. Now, One thing I will say is just take note of the time, leave it alone. Set an alarm on your phone if you have to. Don't go and like take off the lid and check it and smell it and put the lid back on. Try and let it just sit and be left alone. But we will circle back at the 5-hour mark. We're going to check in at 5 hours and I will explain why. So here we are at the 5-hour mark. I have not taken the lid off. This is the first time that I'm looking at it. We want to do 2 things at the 5-hour mark. Number 1, fish out a chunk of beef, have a taste of it and gauge, is the meat kind of tender? Does it still need maybe more than an hour? Does it need salt, pepper? Does it need any additional flavours? At this point, I thought, you know what? I'm going to throw in 2 OXO cubes because it definitely was undersalted. Even though I thought I was being generous, it needs a bit more depth. So I'm going to throw in 2 OXO cubes. The other thing you want to check is how thick is this? Is this a bit watery? I thought it was at this stage. So I made a little slurry, which is just about 2 tablespoons of corn flour with a little bit of water, not much, just make a paste, put the paste in. It's going to help thicken that up. Don't put the corn flour directly in, don't sprinkle it directly in. It's just going to clump up and you'll have little pockets of corn flour when you're eating it. So lid on for the last hour and here we are. This is the 6-hour mark. My slurry has done wonders. It's turned this into a nice, thicker, gravy-like stew. This is what I want. This is how I know that I'm ready to do up my mash and eat. Now, of course, you can leave it in for the 7 hours if you want, but I found that my beef was perfectly tender at this point. You can do it with, you can throw even just your chopped potatoes into the slow cooker for the last hour if you want, but I just love buttery mash with my Guinness stew. And that round beef, it is always so tough. I've tried to do it in the oven as like a roast. No matter what I do, it's always tough. But look at this, just for context. I don't even need my knife, just the side of my fork and minimal effort. It just falls apart. It's delicious. So, very simple, very easy. It just takes time, but it is very much a dump and go. And to be honest, for a nice beef dinner, that will give you about 6 decent portions. Like you could get more out of it, but 6 very generous portions. It's a very economical meal, like 1 kilo of beef for 11 quid. And the rest, you can see yourself, it's carrots and onions. I mean, the Guinness is just a good investment. You get a 4-pack, so give it a try. I hope you like it.